Hello class and welcome back. The reason I say welcome back is by now you should have viewed the class orientation video that included both my Accounting 201 and 202 orientation. Since both classes are similar, I did one video to acclimate you to how to navigate Canvas and the Canvas modules for both classes. This particular video is going to orient you to strictly the syllabus for our managerial accounting class, Accounting 202, Section 2783, for the spring 2019 semester. So where we're starting is on the dashboard. So when you log into Canvas for MiraCosta College, you have all of your classes listed there. I'm going to click on our class, the managerial accounting class, Accounting 202, Section 2783. Again, please ignore the announcements because they're not up to date as of the date I'm recording this video, because they can't be because of timing, but that's a whole other thing. We'll just go with the flow here. In the class orientation video, I walked you through how to actually set up the class, and I'm going to do it, just show you one more time without details, reminding you that in Profile, you can change your picture or not include a picture, or include an avatar, picture of a pet, whatever, or nothing at all. You can leave it blank. It's okay with me. I'm not requiring you to put a picture in there. And you can also edit your profile if you'd like by clicking here and typing in your profile into the text box. For more on that, you can refer back to the class orientation video. I also reminded you that in notifications, you should go in and put the check mark icon next to each one of the notifications in the entire list, so that you're always getting my announcements, emails, anything that I add to the class as they happen to either your email address or through push notifications if you've downloaded the Canvas app from iTunes or Google Apps or any app store really, depending upon the devices that you use. All right, so with that said, or that little reminder, again, you should have already viewed the class orientation video for those details, along with all of the details on how to work through each week and each chapter in our modules in Canvas. This orientation is going to focus strictly on the syllabus. So I'm going to again click on our managerial accounting class for this semester, Accounting 202, Section 2783. Again, let me go to Student View, just so that on your screen, as you're viewing this video, you're seeing exactly what you would. This is what you would see unless you've given yourself a picture. We're going to focus on, in this orientation video, as mentioned, was the syllabus. I showed you how to do that in the class orientation video. You click on syllabus, and you're going to get a course summary, which just lists all of the different requirements you're graded on during the semester, and you'll learn about that in this video. And a link to the actual syllabus. So I'm going to click on the syllabus for our class, Spring 2019. It's the only one there. And it's going to open up, and you can open it up as a PDF, open it up in a web browser like I have through Explorer, really doesn't matter. Excuse me, what you'll see once it loads is the heading for our class, Accounting 202, name of the class or title, Managerial Accounting. It is the spring 2019 semester, and there's my name, Al Tacone. I start off with a welcome to the class. This is another step towards mastering the language of business, because by now you should have successfully completed Accounting 201, Financial Accounting, or a financial accounting class elsewhere that you transferred into MiraCosta to count as your prerequisite. This is a virtual class because it's online, so your success is really going to be dependent upon you participating regularly, making sure that you keep up with your work, do not procrastinate, make sure that on a weekly basis you're starting early in the week and working methodically through the week. You should really make this class and all of your classes, online or otherwise, part of your weekly routine, making sure that you fit it in with all of the other things that are happening in your life. We all know that you have family, work, children, etc., that take up part of your week, but you have to make sure that you organize yourself so that you have time for your classwork as well. All right, with that said, I do look forward to working with you throughout the semester. Please make sure that you communicate with me regularly so that you are not missing your deadlines. And as you learned in the course orientation video, or the class orientation video, each week starts Mondays at 12 a.m. and ends every Sunday at 11 p.m. And that's when the due dates are, Sundays at 11 p.m. All right, our class course description, which is right out of the MiraCosta College catalog. This particular course examines how managers use accounting information in decision-making, planning, directing, operations, and controlling. We will focus on cost terms and concepts, cost behavior, cost structure, and cost volume profit analysis. And those are mostly what the topics revolve around. Now, since you studied financial accounting, you might recall that financial accounting, what we produce as accountants, is more for external use decision-making, whereas managerial accounting is used more for internal decision-making by the company management to make decisions that affect the operations of the company. That's why most of the accounting focuses on cost. All right, let's take a look at some of the course details. And I should have mentioned earlier, those of you that had me for an online financial accounting class will find that the setup, and you probably saw that when you look at the class orientation video, is very similar in terms. The requirements are a little different in my accounting lab because it's a different course, but how I manage the class, the weekly requirements, etc., are very, very similar to the financial accounting online class. All right, the course details. It is spring 2019. The class is online. It is a 4-unit, which is 4 lecture hour class. The transfer credit is for CSU and UC. The section number is 2783. There's a direct link to MiraCosta College Canvas sites if you need it. If not, well, you got here, so you must have found it somehow. You can go directly to the MiraCosta College homepage and select Canvas. As I mentioned, the prerequisite for this class is Accounting 201 or the equivalent, Financial Accounting. And for transfer purposes, the CID number is Accounting or ACCT 120. Again, that's for transfer purposes to the CSU and UC. You will also need access to my accounting lab. If you took financial accounting here at MiraCosta College, then you know how to use, register, and log in to my accounting lab. If not, please again go back to the class orientation video where I review that extensively. I'll go back to it a little bit in this video, but as I said, as we started this orientation, this particular video is meant strictly to acclimate you to the course syllabus, which really revolves around the course requirements on a weekly basis. Okay, with that said, let's move along to the course objectives and the course student learning outcome. Our one student learning outcome is here to construct and analyze accounting and other information for the purpose of making business decisions. As I mentioned earlier, where financial accounting and what we produce as accountants is mostly used by external users for decision making, managerial accounting and what we produce as accountants is used for internal decision making. You might remember back studying financial accounting when we or your instructor or whatever class you were in took the look at the differences between the two. There's a whole series of objectives here, 19 in all. I'll let you read through those. I'm not going to go through them with you individually, but you should go through them. And as we continue throughout the course, you will recognize that we are satisfying the accomplishment of some of these objectives, and all of them by the time we're done with the course. Here's some information about me. There I am again, my name, Al Taccone. Besides teaching 1 or 2 classes a semester here at MiraCosta College, I am also the Dean of the School of Career Education at MiraCosta College. So I'm here on campus a lot. There's my office telephone number. Of course, my email address again. Since I am a dean here and also full-time employee of the college, I have an office. It's on the Oceanside campus, office 4819. That's at the front entrance of the 4800 building, which is the Business and Computer Studies building on campus. If you'd ever like to see me or meet with me in person, please do. Those are kind of the set office hours for the college, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. But if you contact me and need to meet with me, we can figure something out if you'd like to meet in person. The best way to communicate with me is by email or even by the module discussions in each module in Canvas. Those that have had me in class in the past can testify to the fact that I always respond well within 24 hours to make sure that you're getting your questions responded to and you're getting any of your issues taken care of. So please never hesitate to email me directly or post to the Canvas chapter discussions. The one thing I will always ask of you, though, however, is that if you have questions related to your grade or you want to share with me anything personally that you don't want the rest of the class to read, then you should email me directly. Don't post those type of questions or concerns to the chapter modules, because those are for public consumption. And I'll remind you of that each week when I post grades. All right, the requirements for the course, if you have not already gotten them and registered as a result of viewing the class orientation video, our textbook is by Karen Braun and Wendy Tietz, Managerial Accounting. It's the 5th edition with My Accounting Lab. There's the ISBN number in case you need it. You can purchase the textbook along with the My Accounting Lab access code from the MiraCosta College bookstore, or you can purchase it directly online from Pearson, as I showed you in the class orientation video. Either way, I don't care if you have the hard copy of the textbook. Many students just buy the access code for My Accounting Lab, and that if they want a hard copy, get the older edition of the textbook so that they at least have a hard copy. But I leave that completely up to you and your learning styles, as you know that best. You do, however, have to have the My Accounting Lab access. So that's the one thing you must have for the course, because as you learned again in the class orientation video, your weekly requirements where you earn points are in My Accounting Lab. All right, Canvas is the site where this course is housed. Obviously, you know how to get there because, as I mentioned, you are here watching this video. I suggest you use Firefox or Google Chrome web browsers for the best results, but that's up to you. You know your computer system and what type of technology you're using best, so you use whatever works best for you. Different ways to get to Canvas, either through the homepage at MiraCosta College, clicking on Online Education and logging into Canvas, or directly here using this link. You can cut and paste it or click on it directly from the syllabus if you have it on your screen. This is just reiterated because you already know how to log in because you're here, but you know your username and password is entered. Then you clicked on our class, Spring 19, Accounting 202, Section 2783. And again, here's a direct link to My Accounting Lab if you want it, so that you can go to register and in the future log in to My Accounting Lab to get your weekly requirements done. Again, I recommend Firefox or Google Chrome web browsers for best results in My Accounting Lab and Canvas. All right, so those are the online course materials and the required web access that you need for the class. So let's progress on to talk about what are the weekly coursework and instructor requirements for this class. Again, you should be spending about 12 hours a week for a 16-week class, and that's on average. Some people might spend a little less, some a little more, a lot more. Again, you'll see how the clock works for the class here in a couple of minutes when I show you what must be completed and the time limits that you have to complete them. As I mentioned, every week starts at Monday at 12 a.m. and ends every Sunday at 11 p.m. What we're going to go over now is what you should be completing in each week's chapter modules, and what is graded I have highlighted in yellow. So you should read the chapter every week. That should take you about an hour or longer if you really like to read in detail. As you saw in the class orientation video, there are video lectures posted for each chapter. They're about an hour each. Admittedly, some go a little bit longer, an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20. It really depends on the content for that week. My goal when I prepared the videos is to always try to keep them to an hour, but sometimes it's inevitable and I'm not able to do that. But I do get positive feedback on the lecture videos, so that's a good thing. The students find them very helpful. Also, you learned in the class orientation video that each lecture video is accompanied by a PDF of the PowerPoint presentation that I used in those lectures, so you have that available to you for print or viewing. Again, very similar for those of you who are in my financial accounting online class, very similar. All right, each week you should be, for practice, this is not graded, but you should practice exercises and problems from the end of the chapter. Again, I hate to keep sounding like a broken record, but in the class orientation video, I showed you that in each module, I have the solutions to all of the end of chapter exercises and problems, so that whatever you practice, you can take a look at to see how well you're doing and whether or not you need to practice more or whether you've mastered that particular material for the week. That's on your own. That should take you at least 1 to 2 hours per week, but really that could take you, if you really wanted to do well and master the material, an infinite number of hours per week. I'm just giving you, on average, what you should be spending. Here are the 4 things that you will be graded on every single week. You log in to My Accounting Lab after you've registered. You're going to complete what are called demo docs, 1 to 2 hours per chapter it should take you. Try it assignments, that should take 1 to 2 hours. Homework problems, that should take upwards of 3 hours. Again, some students might take much more than that. Some take a little bit less than that. It really depends on how well you've mastered the material. You scroll up a little bit so you can see all of the items that are graded. Quizzes each week, and exams when they come around. Now let me just go over each one and what's required. So you're going to log into My Accounting Lab like I showed you in the class orientation video. Each chapter is going to have listed with a start date and a due date, demo docs, try it assignments, and homework. Those you have unlimited attempts and no time limit. In other words, you can take as long as you want to complete each of those requirements, and you have multiple attempts, infinite number of attempts in fact. I don't have any attempts limits on demo docs, try it, or homework. Quizzes, which should take you 1 to 2 hours, I only give you 1 attempt, but you have an infinite amount of time to complete it. So there's no time limit to complete quizzes, but you have 1 attempt. So once you start the quiz, you can take as long as you want to finish it, but once you finished it and turned it in, that's it. You cannot go back and make changes to get a better grade like you can on demo docs, try it, and homework. And then, of course, each exam, when they come around, they should take you about 3 hours on average. However, and they're also administered in My Accounting Lab, I allow you 1 attempt per exam, and you may not start, save, and go back at a later date or time. You must finish the exam once you've started it. I prepare each exam to take you 2 to 3 hours to complete. However, I give you a 5-hour time limit. In other words, it should take the average person, average student, 2 to 3 hours to complete, but I give you 5 hours to complete the exam. So that should be more than enough time. So make sure once you decide that you're going to go ahead and start the exam, you're nice and comfortable, you have a good spot, you're ready to go, because you must finish it after you've started it. Hopefully that makes sense. And the material on the exams are based on what we've covered in the course material between exams. The exams, as I said, are available in My Accounting Lab and are due on the dates and times indicated in the course outline that we'll be going over here shortly. And just like with weekly course requirements per chapter, you may post questions related to the exams to the exam modules in Canvas. And I'll respond to them, obviously not giving you the answers, but encouraging you and helping you and giving you guidance. So there, highlighted in yellow, is what you are graded on, and we'll see what everything is worth when we get to that page of the syllabus. You should also be spending time on discussion boards each week. Those hours will vary over the term and really depends upon how much you use it, but I don't grade you on discussion board. But if you have questions about an individual chapter or the course in general, you can post those to the weekly chapter module discussions in Canvas. As I mentioned earlier, I will always respond well within 24 hours, and your classmates may post and respond as well. But I will always respond well within 24 hours because I know that if you're posting something there, and certainly if you're sending me email, your expectation is that you are going to get a response to help you to complete your requirements for the week. Again, but that's not graded. The only required discussion board post is what I mentioned in the class orientation video, and that is the Introduce Yourself discussion board post. That's in the Chapter 0 module. You must respond to that by 11 p.m. on Sunday, January 27th, or you will be dropped from the course. As you saw in that module, when you click on discussion board, there are 4 questions for you to answer. You merely need to reply, and you're good to go, as long as it's done by 11 p.m. on Sunday, January 27th. I explained why I have to drop you if you don't in the class orientation video. I'll always have 2 weeks of requirements open in Canvas and my accounting lab at a time, with the exception of exams that are open for 1 week. So in other words, if you finish your orientation to the class module early in week 1, you can move on to Chapter 1 requirements, which are due in week 2. There's always 2 available for those of you who finish early and like to get a jump start on the next week's requirements. You should always check your Canvas announcements daily. The time varies per week on how much time you spend on announcements. Again, if you have your notifications set up correctly, you will be getting those announcements directly to your email anyway, so it's not like you absolutely have to log in to Canvas to see announcements, but it's probably a good habit to do so, because in each module, as I mentioned in the class orientation video, you have the list of everything that needs to be required each week. I will always post an announcement at midnight on every Monday that announces what is due for that week. Every Wednesday, I check in with a checking in announcement so that it's a reminder of what's due by that Sunday at 11 p.m. And then I also post a Friday announcement as kind of the last reminder of what's due by that Sunday at 11 p.m. There will be other announcements in between, depending upon the week and what is required. So please make sure that you check your email and you have your notifications set up correctly. And at minimum, if you don't do that, you check in Canvas. Email me anytime for questions related to the class or the individual chapter modules. Again, I respond within 24 hours. Always, if you have questions about your grade, that should always, or anything of personal nature, should always be sent to me directly by email and not posted to the discussion board, again, for confidentiality reasons. I will occasionally send emails or post a discussion board responding to individuals or posting original posts, depending upon the week and depending upon what's going on and what I think that might be constructive to help you get through the week. And of course, there will be extra credit opportunities offered. As I again mentioned in the class orientation video, your very first extra credit opportunity is available in week 1 by completing the Chapter 0 orientation to the class module. That includes posting your Introduce Yourself discussion board post and completing the Chapter 0 orientation in my accounting lab. You can earn up to 10 points of extra credit to start the class. Talk about a rare opportunity to earn points before we even get to the content. So keep that in mind. Complete everything in the Chapter 0 orientation to the class module, and you will earn your 10 points of extra credit to get off to a great start in the class. All right, speaking of points, let's take a look at the course grading requirements. There are 12 chapters in the course, so these are equated to chapters, everything that you earn. 12 demo docs, one per chapter for 120 points. 12 try-it assignments in My Accounting Lab, also 10 points each for 120. The 12 online quizzes in My Accounting Lab, 10 points per chapter is 120. And 12 homework assignments in My Accounting Lab. Those count for 20 points each because they're a lot more in depth and more time consuming. So those point values are greater. So that's 12 chapters at 20 points per chapter for 240 points. And then you'll have 4 exams during the course of the semester. Each will have 3 chapters covered per exam, 100 points per chapter for a total of 400 points, meaning the total points available in the course is 1,000. So it's very, very important that you get your weekly requirements done besides exams, because as you can see, out of the 1,000 points available, 400 are the exam, 600 are the other weekly requirements. And at the end of the semester, you'll see your corresponding letter grade equated to the points here. How many points you need to earn for an A, B, C, D, or F. Well, we're not going to worry about D or F. Everybody's going to earn at least a C or better, and hopefully the majority of you earn exactly the type of grade that you're seeking to. Now, every week, as I said, your requirements are due by Sunday evenings at 11 p.m. Sometime on that Monday, I will post an announcement that tells you your grades have been updated in Canvas and how to determine what you have for a grade so far in the class. So keep that in mind. That will happen on Mondays after I've had a chance to grade everything that was due at 11 p.m. on Sunday. Canvas is the official repository for your grades, not My Accounting Lab. So make sure when you're trying to figure out what your grade is, or you want to know what your grade is, you're going by what I have posted to Canvas in grades. All you do is click on grades, like I showed you in the orientation video for the class. All right. Adding and dropping the course as we get into attendance, course rules, and expectations. Since you're already in the class, presumably you registered or used an add code that I gave you to a permission number rather, to add by January 31st. The last day to withdraw from this course for no grade is also January 31st. If you remain in the class after January 31st, but you withdraw by April 25th, you will earn a W for the class. If you remain in the class after April 25th, you must be assigned a letter grade of A, B, C, D, or F. The W letter grade is no longer available after April 25th. That includes me. I can't assign you a W. You should be completing your weekly requirements, as I mentioned, Mondays at 12 a.m. through Sundays at 11 p.m. Again, one final reminder, if you do not submit your Introduce Yourself discussion board post by 11 p.m. on Sunday, January 27th, you will be dropped from the course. I explained why in the class orientation video. I may also drop you on any given week for lack of contact and completing your requirements. And that's to protect you from failing if it goes on for too long. So if you haven't turned anything in for a week, I'll email you and say, hey, what are your intentions? Do you plan on staying in the class or not? And then we'll go from there. If I don't hear from you, I will drop you from the class. If you say, no, I just missed this week, but I'm going to get back on track the following week, I will keep you in the class. I won't drop you. But if I don't hear from you for 1 or 2 weeks at all, please be advised you will be dropped from the class. Again, that's for your own protection so you don't earn an F. So remember, completing all of your weekly requirements is really essential. That's the key to success in this class. Use the discussion board per weekly module to ask questions so everybody in the class benefits from the questions or responses. But then again, as I mentioned, for individual issues, including your own personal grades, email me directly. Don't post grade questions to the discussion boards for confidentiality reasons. Just a word here on academic honesty. I do expect that all of the work that you turn in is your own. It's original. If for some reason I find that that is not the case, it will be unacceptable and you will receive 0 points for that work. I should have mentioned, by the way, too, after the 11 p.m. deadline passes, if you have not turned in your weekly requirements and the clock strikes 11 p.m. on a Sunday, you will be graded on what you've completed. So if you haven't done any of the work or a particular requirement, that will be a 0. And if 11 p.m. passes, and let's say you earned only 2 points on your homework, then you will earn just those 2 points posted to Canvas. So please keep that in mind. Other college policies and services. If you have a verified disability, please let me know what that is by the end of the first week of class so that I may work with you to accommodate your disability. And if you have questions on that, you may contact our Disabled Student Program and Services Office. There's the phone number, or our ADA coordinator at the phone number also listed. Please do so by the end of the first week of class so that I can accommodate you. There is the contact information and location for our tutoring and academic support services available at the Oceanside Campus Library and the San Elijo Campus Library. There's a direct link to the college's library resources should you need them. And as I mentioned prior, a hard copy of the textbook is available on reserve at the college libraries. Here's some information on LGBTQIA and related resources and how you may secure the use of those resources. So please take advantage of that if you so choose. And finally, a disclaimer. This syllabus and weekly schedule are subject to change at my discretion. Those of you that had me in the past also can attest to this. I do not change the requirements for the course at all. I certainly do not change the criteria, the grading criteria for the class. It would be a very rare occasion if I changed due dates. For example, it would have to be really some sort of extenuating circumstance for me to do so. So every week when you get my announcements, and you'll see how things flow as we get past this first week, everything is very routine. Every week is pretty much the same. It's just new content that you're studying, but every week's requirements are the same so that once you get into the routine, you should be able to stay in that routine towards being successful for the semester. All right, the second to last page of the syllabus, page 6, is the weekly schedule for the class that does begin on January 21st at 12 a.m. and ends at 11 p.m. on Sunday, January 27th. You can see the schedule is broken down by week, the Canvas module and chapter, and the online requirements due date. So for example, it's week 1, that's chapter 0, the welcome, introduction, and orientation to the class. You should be reviewing, and you already are because you're watching this now, the syllabus orientation video, and you should have viewed the course orientation video or the class orientation video. Then you should be completing the chapter 0 My Accounting Lab requirements for practice. Again, register and log into My Accounting Lab and complete the chapter 0 orientation requirements. And the Introduce Yourself discussion board post, also due by 11 p.m. on January 27th. All of this is due by 11 p.m. on January 27th. And if you do that, you have the opportunity to earn up to 10 points of extra credit. So you can earn partial of the 10 points, but if you get it all done, what a way to start the class. You start off this class with 10 points of extra credit. You can't lose any points in week 1. You can only gain up to 10 points in week 1. And if you finish chapter 0 module early, you can move on because I've also opened up chapter 1 in Canvas and My Accounting Lab. That'll always be the case. For those of you who finish early in a given week, you can move on to the next week's requirements. But only 2 weeks at a time are open. Just going to scroll through so you can see the dates of the requirements and the due dates. You can see there our first exam comes up the week of February 18th to the 24th. I've included the spring break dates of March 18th to the 24th. And then after that, You pick up with an exam. Nothing's due during spring break, but it'll be open if you want to start on it, certainly. But your exam number 2 would be due on March 31st. We progress exam 3 on April 28th, and then the chapters in between. Then chapters 12, 13, and 14, with exam number 4 due, note, on Saturday, May 25th. I have to have the last exam due, exam number 4, due on a Saturday because of the way the MiraCosta College academic calendar falls. So just keep that in mind. I know we're a long way off, but I'll give you plenty of reminders that your last requirement, exam 4, will be due on Saturday, May 25th, not Sunday. Of course, since I have 2 weeks worth of material open in Canvas and my accounting lab per week, you could actually finish that exam well before that if you choose to do so. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Again, there's only 4 exams, no cumulative final in the class. So once again, if you go back or you look at the weekly schedule, it all relates to what's required each week. All right, so that's the weekly schedule. But again, I post announcements every week, 3 of them, so you always know what's due every week. You're never going to have to guess, or if you forget or you don't have the syllabus in front of you, you'll always have announcements that remind you of that. The last page of the syllabus, page 7, is the instructions for registering and accessing my accounting lab for our class. I went over that in the class orientation video. So remember, the last page of your syllabus and the link that I put in the Chapter 0 module in Canvas also has this page available to you. So it has the instructions, including that all-important instructor ID number. That's our ID number for our Accounting 202 class for this spring. Follow the instructions. Those of you that have used my lab, especially my accounting lab in the past, should be just fine because the access and how to accomplish the weekly requirements is the same. All right, so that's the last page of the syllabus, just a one-pager on how to access and register for my accounting lab. All right, I'm going to scroll all the way back to the top of the syllabus. I hope you'll spend some time reviewing the syllabus on your own or re-reviewing this syllabus orientation video. I also hope it was helpful to you in terms of getting started in the class, and that it will be helpful to you to refer to throughout our class this semester as you set out to accomplish all of the weekly requirements towards mastering managerial accounting. So with all of that said, I'm going to turn you loose now. You can go ahead, go to your Chapter 0 module in Canvas, complete all of the requirements to get oriented to the class. And remember, here in week 1, you can earn 10 points of extra credit. You won't lose any points. You can't. You can only earn points by completing the Introduce Yourself discussion board post and the orientation requirements in my accounting lab. So I wish you well. I hope this was a productive first week of requirements so that in week number 2, you have all of the tools that you need to get started on Chapter 1 as we embark on our managerial accounting studies. Remember, week 1 is just to get you acclimated. It's a nice way to not have to have the stress of getting a first chapter of content done in week 1. And remember, week 2 will begin on Monday morning, January 28th at 12 a.m. and will end the following February 3rd, that's a Sunday, at 11 p.m. Have a great week, and I look forward to being with you for Chapter 1.